Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. It is December 2024. That is a lot of Torah, more than 4.5 years of saying good morning to friends new and old from all over the world. It's broadcast 1193. It is day 431 of the war. It's good to see all of you here. Let's see us here so we can say good morning as we have for so long, knowing that when we show up, not only will we not be alone, we'll be surrounded by love. Ashley and Shari, good morning. Cheryl, it's good to see you. I hope that you and yours are safe and well. Hi, Carl. Sending love. Nathalia, hi. We'll take a second, say hello to a few more people, then we're going to get started. Tara and Sharon, good morning. Boker Tov, friends. Hi, Anya. Hope that you're well. Jonathan, nice to see you. Sunday, Boker Tov to you. Hi, Amy. All right, as you can see, I'm on the road, actually headed to UJA headquarters on Lexington and 59th. Didn't quite make it in time to set up at the desk, so here we are, seeing New York alive and honking. Arlene and Linda, Debbie, good to see you. Hi, Jack. Let's take a breath, sing a blessing, learn some Torah. Ya la 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 la, diddy ya la la la, diddy ya la 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 la, ay ay la la la, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah la'asok b'divrei Torah hafoch ba v'hafoch ba la'asok b'divrei Torah. Diddy I lie 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 lie, diddy I lie lie lie, diddy I lie 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 lie, I lie lie lie. So good morning, everyone. Hope that you and yours are safe and well. It's Parshat Vayishlach. It is a moment in the Torah that we know, we've seen the story, not only in the text, but also in our lives, the way that Jacob and Esau, Yaakov and Esav, twins, family, are unable in childhood to imagine both receiving enough love from their parents. And in fact, their parents, as we've seen throughout the book of Genesis, and also so often in our lives, not quite showing what it is to work together as a family. Now, it's not fair to judge the text from a modern perspective. It is clear that in Breshit, in Genesis, there was one way of being, and in our world there is another. We are committed, as ever, to being healthier as families, to being holier as a family. And in the aftermath of October 7th, this is day 431 since that terrible day. We have shown up as family in countless ways, and it is also true that especially in Israel, we are seeing some fissures in Israeli society, especially because today, just earlier today, was the first testimony from Prime Minister Netanyahu in his corruption trial. To imagine the vibrancy, this is very strange to say, but the vibrance of our Third Commonwealth, the rebirth of our people, so much so that we can continue fighting for our lives and also holding ourselves accountable. That was, after all, the dream of one of the founders of Israel. The first Prime Minister of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, said that we seek to be normal. Normal means that Jewish criminals will be brought before Jewish judges. Well, I don't know if that's wonderful, but it is powerful to show how strong we can be as a people, to handle our internal issues as we face our external issues too. And please God, we should be making progress. It is very powerful to see the strength of Israel in the aftermath of the fall of the Assad regime in Syria, and to see Israel not only take up positions to protect itself, but also act in concert with other nations to take out, to remove, to destroy the chemical weapons that Assad had used on his own people. And here is a moment that in some ways resembles this parsha. Here's the background story. In our parsha, Jacob is afraid. He is afraid because he lied to his brother, stole the birthright from his father, was manipulated by his mother, had to run for his life, married, was deceived, married again, had children, had to run away from his father-in-law. This is an intense story, and we know so much of it, and can you imagine? I cannot. What it must have been like to be Jacob, to feel Jacob, the brokenness, as Sharon is saying, and heartbreak that we reflect today in our people's heart and homeland. Well, all concentrated. If we are Bnei Yisrael, right, the children of Israel, well, Jacob becomes Israel this week. His name change happens this week. Parshat Vayishlach is this week. And so he's afraid because he has heard that his brother Esau, from whom he has been estranged for their entire lives, this is decades now, since Jacob stole the birthright from Esau, and Esau threatened to kill Jacob. Jacob is afraid, and the language in the Torah is fascinating. It is a doubling of language. Vayera Yaakov me'od, he was very afraid. Vayetzer lo, and he was distressed. And countless rabbis and commentators over the millennia have looked at this doubling of language. He was very afraid and he was distressed. Why? Why was he very afraid and very distressed? And I invite you to open your heart to hear a language that is hard and necessary if we are to be both powerful enough to be safe and wise enough to remain sane, to retain our humanity in the face of great conflict and instability in the world. And of course, I mean that in Israel, but I also mean that in the United States right now. And clearly we could point to so many other parts of the world where instability is the reality. So again, Jacob was afraid and he was distressed. I want to tell you what Rashi says about this. Rashi, the most famous Torah commentator of all, from around the year 1040 in France, says, why was he afraid? He was afraid, God forbid, that he would be killed. He was afraid for his life. Obviously, his family was depending upon him. He was afraid. So if that was why he was afraid, why was he disturbed? He was disturbed at the thought, says Rashi, that in order to protect himself and his family, he might have to kill someone else. Which tells us that the ethical use of power has biblical precedent. I'm afraid for my own life, and I'm afraid of what I will have to do to protect myself and my family. Which means that when we act with the power that we require, we do so with humility, with modesty, with morality. And when we exceed that, when we violate our own humanity because of the power we wield, which is a threat and temptation to anyone with power, we have to be held accountable so that we do not misuse power. Rabbi Yitz Greenberg, among the greatest living theologians in the Jewish world today, has said in the aftermath of the Shoah, for a Jew not to accept the obligation of power is blasphemous, is theological malpractice. The necessity of power is a tragic reality. The question, though, is do we remain the mensches we claim to be in the world once we have it? Jacob's two-sided fear is very important for us to consider. He was very afraid. Why? Because there was a threat to his life and the life of his family. In fact, just earlier than this verse, he divides his family into two camps for fear that one half of his family would be destroyed. And the text says this, it's so sad and fearful. So that if one is attacked, then the other will survive. This is language that is so shattering. It's shattering to hear our ancestors so afraid. And we know that we do not accept such terms for our survival. All of us, and by all of us, I don't want to stick only to the Jewish community. We, friends, all of us, and all of the people driving by me on Lexington, and all of the people walking by on the other side, and all of the people in Syria, and all of the people in Jerusalem, and all of the people in the north of Israel, and all of the people in Gaza. All of us deserve protection. All of us. When we act immorally, we must be held accountable. But those who wield the power to hold others accountable, who are obligated to use power ethically to hold others accountable, must be held accountable themselves. Jacob was not only afraid of powerlessness, he was also distressed about the complicating nature of power. I bless us, friends, to never, never, never be powerless, never feel powerless, never be powerless, and never accept powerlessness, which seems to be what much of the world expects from Jews. We reject it. Power is our right and our responsibility. But woe to us if we start to love it too much. Woe to us if we think power over is the definition of power. Why was Jacob afraid? He was afraid of powerlessness and what power would do to him. God forbid. So on this 431st day of fighting for our lives and for the lives of our beloved hostages, we want them home. They deserve to be home. As Valerie says, and boy is she a model for this, we are not powerless. We refuse to accept powerlessness. We are done with that. Zionism was the rebirth of the Jewish right to dignity. We are done with powerlessness. But let us remember, friends, as our ancient sages taught us in Pirkei Avot, B'makom she'ein anashim hishtadel liot ish. In a place where people aren't being human, be human. Work hard to retain your humanity. Yes, Sharon, thank you for saying that. Not only are we fighting for the return of our hostages, and only is the wrong word to use in that sentence, we are, of course, fighting also for our deployed family, those fighting for the safety of the citizens of Israel. We're representing all of the Jewish community around the world. And those who are doing the fighting, you should know, include Arab Israelis, Israeli Druze, Israeli Muslims, Israeli Jews, Israeli Christians, all of us, friends. Everyone, everywhere, deserves the right to be alive. If that requires power to enforce, so be it. But let us never, never be seduced by power itself. Let us retain our humanity as we fight for our lives. Sing with me, friends. Send your hearts to the east. We are praying and mobilizing and acting and protesting where necessary to bring them home now. Send your hearts with mine. Kol hod balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi homiya ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.